Hi, everybody. Hub Arkush along with Arthur Arkush and Kevin Fishbain here for ChicagoFootball.com. It's here. We're going right from the studio to pack our bags and head down 57 for Bourbonnais. Training camp is right around the corner, and let's look at the offense and what to expect in Bourbonnais this year. And Arthur, all eyes, as they've been for recent years, but more so this year even than the last couple, are going to be on Jay Cutler. I'm not sure that there was ever really a decision to be made. I always thought he was going to be the Bears quarterback this year. Some doubted it. He's the guy. He's got to be a different player with this coaching staff than he's been the last 5-6 seasons.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If the offense is to go anywhere, Jay Cutler is going to have to be more consistent. He's going to have to cut down on the mistakes. We could have pulled this same audio from 3 or 4 years ago. The story hasn't changed, but some of the surrounding factors have. He's expected to have a healthy offensive line. He's expected to have a dynamic new number one receiver, and maybe most importantly, he's expected to have a run-first offense. I believe John Fox and Adam Gase are going to rely heavily on Matt Forte. It really should improve Jay Cutler in and of itself.
Is there no question that Jimmy Clausen is the guy, or could a Pat Devlin or a Shane Carden or maybe a David Fales make a run at that number 2 spot?
I think it's Jimmy Clausen's to lose. I don't expect any of those guys. I think the battle really is going to be for number 3. I don't expect them to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster, but someone's going to make that practice squad, whether it's Fales or Carden. Neither of them really has an edge because they don't know Fales. He's not their guy. So, it's that number 3 quarterback competition I'm sure everyone's very excited to watch.
Arthur, we know that Matt Forte is going to be the focal point of this offense, especially early. I'm convinced that Jeremy Langford is already number 2, even though the Bears have not released a depth chart yet. Jacquizz Rodgers, Kadeem Carey, Centerese Perry, do they have a shot at this roster?
It's a great question. You could throw Daniel Thomas into the mix too, another former second rounder and a late OTA addition, but I tend to agree with you. Jeremy Langford is their guy. You can make an argument Jacquizz Rodgers is too and brings a little bit of a different specialty trait to the table, but Centerese Perry, Kadeem Carey certainly on notice are going to have to stand out in training camp, and let's not forget Matt Forte is still expected to be the bell cow in this offense entering a contract year.
Let's lump all the receivers together, Kevin. At tight end, it's obviously Martellus Bennett's position, but behind him, pretty good battle. You've got Zach Miller, who had the good year last year. You've always got Dante Rosario there. They brought in Bear Pasco. A lot of names. And then, of course, at wide receiver, who emerges after the big 3? We know it's Alshon Jeffrey, Kevin White, and Eddie Royal. Who else makes the ball club?
It's funny, Hub. I think we've had this discussion the last 2 years, too. Even with a different offense, you still have the question, who's going to be Bennett's backup? We know what Zach Miller can bring, but can he stay healthy? I think Rosario might have the edge. Remember, he played with John Fox in both Denver and Carolina. I'm sure that familiarity helps. He knows this offense well. Bear Pasco's somebody they seem pretty excited about, so I would keep an eye on him if they want someone more of a prototypical blocker. At wide receiver, still looks like Marquise Wilson's the edge at number 4. They don't really have anybody that is exciting in terms of a number 5. Mark Mariani, because he could be the returner, but that's probably where it's going to come into play. Which player wins the return job gets to be the number 5 receiver. We'll see if Josh Bellamy, Levi Norwood, a rookie out of Baylor, any of these guys factor into the mix.
All right, so here's the questions on the offensive line, Arthur. Who's going to be the right tackle? Is it Jordan Mills? What do we know at this point about Hronis Grasu? Can he beat out Will Montgomery? And is Kyle Long the right guard? I think he is. I think they were just kind of messing around during OTAs and minicamp. They had some injuries at the position. They're not going to move him to right tackle. That makes no sense. But if we see Kyle Long playing some tackle in Bourbonnais, then you got to know that they're thinking about it.
Yeah, we saw Long a little bit on both sides during the offseason, but that was more because Bushrod and Mills were sitting out. So who's right tackle is the biggest question to me, and Jordan Mills, I think, is very replaceable, but there has to be an option behind him. Right now, there doesn't appear to be. He's also the domino, as we've talked about a lot here. If he can't be up to the challenge, maybe Kyle Long has to move. It throws things in flux a little bit. I know the Bears are very, very excited about Hronis Grasu, but I think it's going to be a process, probably not a week 1 transition, maybe later in the season, depending on how things are going, but I think they value Will Montgomery's experience quite a bit as they usher in this new scheme.
All right, guys, real quick, and I know I'm springing this on you with no time to prepare, but there's always a training camp surprise. First week, 2 weeks, we get the guy who pops out at us on offense. Kevin, is there a guy you could see doing that?
I'm going to say Jeremy Langford. It's not going to surprise you, but when you have the speed he has, that kind of stuff shows up at camp when you don't have the pads on right away, or when you don't have to tackle, you'll notice the speed. I think folks are really going to notice what Jeremy Langford brings.
All right, who's the story of the first 10 days on offense in Bourbonnais?
I'm going to go with Marquise Wilson. Why not? He was last year, and people were kind of forcing it on a little bit, but was making some great catches. He's going to see some possibly, enviable situations with some of the attention being paid to some of the bigger guys. So Wilson's got all the tools. We'll see if he's able to endear himself to a brand new regime that had nothing to do with him.
Guys, before he got hurt last year, Zach Miller was just too hard to ignore at tight end. If he's healthy, I expect him to do it again, make himself very difficult to cut. That's the offensive side of the ball. We're going to preview the defense and special teams at Bourbonnais for you as well. Just stay right where you are for everything you want to know about the Chicago Bears 24/7 right here at chicagofootball.com.